Hi everybody, thanks for watching Access Hockey MI. As you know, we are very excited about all sorts of development. We love to watch the USHL, who we cover there. We cover the Muskegon Lumberjacks, and we also love to keep up with the NCAA, of course, which is the college circuit. So today we're going to talk about UMass, which is Massachusetts, University of Massachusetts, and we're going to talk, they just won the Frozen Four Championship, so that's super exciting. First time in history.
First time in franchise history for an NCAA tournament.
Very exciting. Yeah. So we're going to talk about that today because there are a few guys on the team you're going to recognize if you keep up with our Muskegon Lumberjacks info. So
and
that's
if you
what we're
don't,
going to talk
then
about.
you should.
Yeah, you're going to know more.
You're going to know so much more.
And keep watching.
So the fact that the Frozen Four Championship even happened this season was really cool. There's a lot of weird and bizarre things that went into actually making
We've all been there.
We've mentioned teams that have to drop and all that kind of stuff. So just a quick recap of the semifinal round to even get to the championship round, which just happened. St. Cloud State University had to go up against Minnesota State University. Lots of Minnesota teams here, so just bear with me. So they held a lead for the early part of that game. They held on to it for quite some time. Minnesota State caught up. A little bit not ankle biter, but like a nail biter. Not ankle biter, but a nail biter. St. Cloud was able to then take it, not thankfully in overtime, because that seems to be a trend in this last tournament, but they were able to take it, clinch their spot for the final round. While they were doing that, UMass was going up against Minnesota Duluth. Two different teams, just so you know.
Will remember from last season where they were actually pushed out of the playoffs.
Yes, so it was kind of retribution. So in 2019, Minnesota Duluth had booted UMass from the running for the Frozen Four Championship. So this was a huge deal for them. Minnesota Duluth was coming off of a 5 overtime victory against UND. So they had a ton of momentum. Obviously, if you can go 5 overtimes and still come out with a win, good on you.
Yep.
But UMass had a lot of proof. They were out several players. Their starting goaltender, Lindbergh, was out due to COVID protocol, so they had to throw in their backup, who made incredible saves and was able to then get them to advance into the final round.
So championship, fast forward to St. Cloud State playing UMass, and they actually ended up losing 5-0. So a very decisive win, and it's not for a lack of trying. No. If you watch the game, you can tell. And of course, if you get this far, you're going to try as hard as you can. There's nothing saying that anybody gave up. They didn't give up. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? All you people know what we mean?
You got it.
So, yeah, they lost 5-0. So that is a decided victory. Yep. So UMass came away with their first in franchise history. Lindbergh is #1 goalie in the world.
Nation.
In the nation. For goals against because of his stunning work, and he's actually not drafted, so someone keep their eye on him and someone should get him. That would be fantastic.
And if someone does draft him, just buy him out.
Yeah, just whatever you can do.
Yeah.
So he's got a 1.33 goals against average right now, so that's super great. So all of this to say, congratulations first of all to UMass. Very exciting.
That's super exciting.
It's awesome, and we love to see the growth and to see how many players in the NCAA circuit are actually coming from the USHL is insane. So that is usually the pathway, we'll say. There's quite a few who get drafted, as we've talked about, but a lot of them end up going either college first or college only, kind of like one of the guys that we're going to talk about from the Jacks. So there were plus 70 USHL guys in the NCAA Frozen Four Tournament as a whole.
That's insane.
That
70
insane.
Total, more than 70 total players. I don't know the final count, but I know it's over 70 coming from the USHL. Obviously, it's freshman to senior, so it's spanning a couple of years there. But that's an incredible amount of players getting represented out of the USHL.
Oh, you can keep going.
Oh, I was pumped up on that one. So it obviously goes to show, and we've said this before, the USHL is a league that is not only growing in awareness, I think, to the general public, but the scouts and the teams who may not have used them before as a developmental program, and same for the NCAA circuit, teams and NCHC, I should say, too. Teams that may not have given them much of a look because it is a small league. It's 16 teams total. It's not a huge pool to choose from, and it's very hard, I'm sure, to travel and get to those places. They're pretty far and wide. What am I saying?
Deep and wide.
Deep and wide. But they're hard to get to. So it's not a huge, I guess, go-to league. And I think now, over the last probably 4+ seasons, we've seen just incredible growth in the development of the league itself, as well as in the draft and represented in the draft.
And I was going to say, and the importance of the league, I think, is becoming more widely known. Because when we're at games from Muskegon, we see countless, sometimes depending on who we're playing. If it's the Steel, you see tons. If it's Chicago Steel or Team USA for U18 or U17, you see a ton of scouts.
I think the last time I counted about 13 or 14 different teams represented.
You see it, and it's very encouraging to see that because you want them to see. And of course, it's a great league to watch. It's a junior league, and it's an elite junior league too. So you're watching some of the best players anyways.
Right.
So it's just, and they're all there for you. You've got 2 teams you can watch. It's a great mix for NHL scouts. So we see them all the time.
We're a little partial.
Yeah, we love it. If you don't watch the USHL, we can't be friends.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
But if you want to know more about the USHL, show your friends and then subscribe.
Yeah. That'd be great. So 3 Jacks that we want to talk about today. So Muskegon Lumberjacks, of course, are the team that we cover, as we've said. And
and everyone's like, this is an insanely long intro.
So 2 important guys for sure would be Marc Gaizo and Anthony Gaizo. Anthony Gaizo is actually the captain of the Lumberjacks when we've been doing this for almost 5 years now, and he was captain at one of the years in my brain. And then Marc Gaizo, which I think more people know about simply because he was drafted in 2019 to the Nashville Predators, 109th overall, and he actually got on the all-rookie team. In the NCAA. He has been a stud in the NCAA. So we're going to talk about those guys. And Oliver MacDonald, who's also on the Lumberjacks.
Yeah, he's a freshman. So all of these guys, we've watched every single one of these. The really cool thing about Marc and Anthony, and we'll start with Marc. Marc, when we saw him, I mean, is an incredible defenseman. So he was very fast, gritty. He knew what he was doing, very offensive. He took risks, and we loved watching it at the junior level. So when he got drafted, we were pumped.
And sad because it didn't come to us.
Exactly. And I think I actually ran circles and laps around the apartment because I was so excited. But obviously we get pumped up about these guys. So there's good reason he was drafted. He has a ton of potential. So I really was excited to see how that was going to translate over into college, knowing he was going to go to UMass with his older brother. That the team that they have together and the way that they can communicate and how they know each other's game on the ice, I was really excited to see how that was going to translate because they do communicate very well and they help each other develop and grow. And Marc has just gotten increasingly better over the last 3 seasons, and I think a lot of that too. He's adaptable, and he's very skilled. But I think it helps his brother is there too because I think they push each other.
That's just cool to be able to experience that together like they were able to do with the Lumberjacks. So Marc is actually an alternate captain, or was at least in this
last season.
This last season he was alternate captain, but he didn't have less than, in the first season he played, he had 29 points in 41 games played, which is clear why he was chosen for the all-rookie team.
He's a defenseman.
He's a defenseman. This is that's very awesome, and I think everyone last year, or even when he first started, everyone was singing Marc's praises for sure. And so, I mean, even in this last season, shortened, weird, everything going on, he still had 14 points in 27 games played. That's not including the playoffs. So he was definitely making a stand. So Anthony, on the other hand, he's not as much of a point producer. He is a forward. He's not as much of a point producer, but he is a gritty, in-your-face workhorse kind of guy. You put him out there.
I loved watching his celebration when they got the trophy.
It was very just screaming. I mean, I think they all just scream because they don't know what else to do. But yeah, he's a workhorse, and it doesn't translate all the time into points, but still that workhorse on the ice can get a lot of opportunities for those guys who are more crafty to get into the book.
He's always been a bigger, physical, and I guess you could say even more mannish. Even in the USHL, he was the kid with the
big guy.
He was the guy with the full beard among 16-year-olds. You know,
strong as an ox.
Very, very strong, and very much a leadership style to him too. So the fact that you've heard us say a bunch of times where it doesn't always show in the points. You have to watch them. His grinding style, that's the kind of stuff that opens up playability for everybody else on the ice and gets the puck in deep, and he's able to be along the boards and be that physical presence. And so just him being able to finally get a championship too, because even with Muskegon, they had their chances and they had playoff runs and really good stints there, and getting so close last season, it's really nice to see after 3 years of hard work for these boys that they finally got something.
Yeah, and you can see it all over their faces. And any championship for hockey, when someone finally wins, how much relief it is, how much excitement it is. So he's not gotten more than 10 points in a season. The best he did was 10 points in 37 games played. So again, not a huge point production. Hopefully, in his last year of college, he can kind of amp up that pointage. That would be great. And we're not sure if he's in talks with anybody for teams. He might get picked, or at least to an AHL team out of this, just because of his workhorse ability. I mean,
it's not unheard of.
No, it's not unheard of. We see it all the time. So Oliver MacDonald was the other guy that we were able to watch with Muskegon, and he's actually a freshman right now. So he had 5 points in 17 games played in this season. So not crazy amount, but he's getting out there. He's a freshman, of course. In these Frozen Fours, you usually see a lot of sophomore to senior. Yeah, you see a lot of. You have your lines pretty in place, and I think that kind of works toward that, but. Nonetheless, First year? That's not a bad first year.
That's awesome for Ollie, too, because he was the captain for a little bit, too, with the Lumberjacks. So all of these guys have leadership qualities, whether alternate or actual captains somewhere along in their development career.
And they all have the same grit and intensity. And I think that we can kind of wrap this encompassing idea up in the fact that the Muskegon Lumberjacks, that's the kind of player they produce.
They are Lumberjacks.
Yeah, it's not an annoying, aggravating, in your face kind of play. It's a very leader, it's
leader focused.
They just developed, the last few seasons, they've developed their players so well, and they have gotten the absolute best. Coach Mike Hamilton gets the absolute best out of his guys.
He is the winningest coach in franchise history officially now. So
congrats, Mike Hamilton. You're great.
You're the bomb, man.
So I think that it just shows kind of what Muskegon works to produce in their locker room, and these guys, they look for the ownership and the coaching looks for very specific type players, and I think that that's what we're seeing. All these guys have that in common. They're all workhorses. They all get the job done, and they're all very talented.
Well, and that's what these teams see too. And it's not
that's how they get where they are too. Their work.
Exactly. And you do not get this far without working hard. You can't cheat it. There's no way in hockey
you just can't. Because there's someone else who's going to work out of you.
Just ask any goalie. Oh man.
The only position or the only job that mocks you for failing with a goal horn and everybody in your face.
the whole group behind you chanting at you.
Maybe not the only job.
But it's not to say, too, all of this, it's fantastic for the USHL and the Lumberjacks and these guys, but, I mean, big props to St. Cloud, too.
Yes,
They put up an incredible fight, and just the tenacity throughout the entire tournament of all the teams.
Yep.
It's an awesome tournament to be a part of. It's obviously crushing to watch them just be so destroyed after the game, and you feel it. You almost want to cry with them. But
true competitors use it.
They'll get back up.
Future championships that they get. I mean, there's probably not a hockey player out there in the NHL, NCAA, USHL,
who's
AHL,
won everything,
who's not experienced defeat,
right,
and not used it in some great way in the future.
It's inevitable.
I'm sure everybody has a story like that. So that's just kind of, and St. Cloud, they'll get there one day. Yeah. They've got a good team. They've got a good school behind them for that too.
They've showed a lot of fire, and a lot of these teams, they've been able to adapt to a very, very strange season and still come out on top.
That's great.
That I think is going to play a lot into their development later on as individual players and the challenges that they're going to face as they get into higher leagues or professions or wherever they end up going. So it's huge life lessons learned, and just major kudos to all of them.
Yeah, so super exciting to see UMass win the Frozen Four Championship. Congratulations, guys.
I wanted to pump my fist and scream too.
It's very exciting. We look forward to seeing more of that in the future. Great hockey school, great hockey college. It's just awesome. So
I think I have to buy a jersey now.
Let us know in the comments if you were able to catch any of it. If there's any NCAA guy that you are looking at right now that you've seen that's maybe undrafted or drafted.
A moment that stood out to you in the championship.
Yeah, if you were able to watch it, that would be super. Yep. And again, watch the USHL. That's very important to us. So we'll see you next time.